Again, this is a common mistake, but what are some other common mistakes that Amanda and Melissa have made or see frequently?
Along those same lines, are there any common mistakes that you see or pitfalls that you see people that may be new with custom audiences kind of falling into? Or is there anything that maybe you've uncovered or a mistake that you have made that you could kind of talk through now, and so that others might not make it in the future?
Video view audiences. Haha. Okay. Out of all the other custom audiences, you build them, you set them up, and then they just keep going. They just keep populating. They just keep themselves current. Video view audiences, not the case. That's the one custom audience that you actually need to manually go in and edit and add new videos to. Now, again, this is depending on the strategy. You can use video view custom audiences for one single video that you've run. Say you want to retarget people who have watched a certain percentage of a particular sales video that you've put out on Facebook. Great. You don't need to worry about it. It's just focused on that one video. That's it. But for video view and engagement custom audiences, we have a maximum 365 days that we can retarget people who have viewed videos or engaged with your page. It's different than the website audiences, which is only 6 months. But these audiences, we can retarget people for a year. So with video views, there's a strategy out there that you can be using where you just build an audience of people who have watched any of the videos on your Facebook page. You just keep growing that over time. And that audience, that means that every time you put out a new video on your Facebook page, you need to remember to go back into your audiences, edit that video view audience, add in the new videos that you've put out, and then save that, and then it'll update. Another thing is with custom audiences, if you don't use them, they go dormant. So Facebook will, they're still there. You just need to use them in a campaign, and it wakes them back up again. So if it looks like, as I'm saying, the other ones auto-populate, they automatically update, and someone will say, no, they don't. You just got to use them. It'll wake them back up again. It'll bring them back to life. But video view audiences, that's the one you have to manually go in and add new videos to. And it's just something you got to get in the habit of, or set a little calendar reminder. Or in the habit that I've made is every single time I go into Ads Manager to go and look at a campaign or look at anything in the back end, I'm like, oh, I got to go update my video view audiences. So that's one little tip. Other pitfalls, other issues. The biggest one is just people trying to retarget warm audiences or those custom audiences, using them too soon without you're just trying to jump right to the retargeting without putting the work in to building up the quality and size of those audiences first. So a lot of advertisers just miss that whole step of warming up an audience. They just go straight for the sale. And if you're selling something that's very low cost, it doesn't take much from the decision-making standpoint. If you're trying to sell me a widget that's $1.50, I'm going to want the widget or not want the widget. That's it. It doesn't really take a lot of retargeting and convincing and ad dollars and spend. No. But if you're trying to sell me a $1,500 course, I'm not going to buy it the first time I see it. And it's probably going to take $500 in spend just to get one sale for a $1,500 course. And that's going to be broken out into a whole bunch of retargeting. So it's going to take time. So I think managing your own expectations on how much time it takes and effort and energy to build up your custom audiences before they start producing results and returns for you, that's probably the biggest pitfall I see business owners running themselves into, because you're looking at your peers and your competitors, and you see other people, go out there and just nail it and get tons of results, and Facebook ads are working for them. And then you look at yourself and you get frustrated and down on yourself on, why can't I make this work? Well, guess what? It's not you, it's Facebook. And it's just a matter of managing those expectations. That competitor or that other advertiser, they may have been building up audiences over several years. They may have been advertising in the advertising game 3 years in advance of you. So they have massive website visitor audiences already built up, huge engagement audiences already built up, high quality audiences from the years of changing and tweaking their campaigns already built up. So yeah, they can go out, throw $100 on a campaign and boom, make a ton of sales. If you're just starting out, that's not going to be you. That's going to be you 3 years from now. So if you're not starting now and learning how to build up these audiences and just get started, then it's not, when you first start, you're not going to make sales on Facebook ads. When you first start, you're going to spend a lot of experimental dollars learning and growing your accounts. Some people do hit a home run on their first go with Facebook ads, And I've seen it, and it's great, and it's very thrilling. It's very exciting when it happens, but that's the exception, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing that we've sort of uncovered in various degrees with all of the topics that we've explored here, is that it comes down to expectation management is so critical to your customers and them having a good customer experience. But then also, like you said, having the expectations that what is this actually going to yield? How far along am I? How good is my information? How much better could my information be? And then kind of factoring all of those things in. Because, like you said, you hear about the success stories that are massive, where you might, if you ask your friend, they're going to tell you their greatest hits. They're not going to tell you about, they want to keep you engaged. So it is very important to keep in mind.
Boom. Expectation management, not just of your customers, but of yourself. Building audiences and building businesses takes time. You're probably not going to see overwhelming success from the very beginning. And it's important to remember that this is all a process. So keep your own expectations realistic. Never stop learning, iterating, and improving your ads, your audiences, and your strategies. Think about Melissa's story. Start small. Build modularly. Identify gaps in areas where you can improve and tie things together. And always keep working towards beating where you were yesterday. Now, speaking of Melissa, what kind of mistakes did she make that we might learn from?
So if someone is watching today and they're thinking about maybe jumping into the game, getting started with it, or maybe they have just gotten started with it and they're pretty confused, they're in over their head, fill in the blank. Do you have any advice, best practices, anything like that, as far as using Facebook custom audiences that might help them out?
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice would be, don't wait. Don't wait till you've built the ultimate funnel. For 3 years, I just collected people's email addresses and I didn't send them a single email. I was just like Facebook ads to grow my audience, but I would periodically email them when we had a promotion. I didn't do the content strategy we have now, is we email them 3 times a week. I mean, I needed some convincing of that. That was like a big step, but this is a period of iterations over years. And, I'd also say don't get discouraged in the early days when you first start running ads and you've got limited data. Like, I'm aware, and I know when I hear other marketers who say, hey, it's really easy, you just do this. And I'm like, yeah, but that's all right for you because you've got 250,000 people on your list. You can, of course, you're going to have success. You're going to have these big launches.
Right.
So I don't want to come across as like, where I hope someone listening to this doesn't think, well, that's easy for her to say, just do this. In the beginning, it was hard to get that traction with a custom audience. So what I'd say now is start harvesting data now. Make sure that and I don't mean data, that's a horrible word, wrong word. Start making sure you know how to contact or where to find your best behaving customers. Mm-hmm. So start knowing your numbers. Look at which blog posts are pulling in the most traffic and build a custom audience from there. Look at who, people joining your Facebook groups, and make sure you're tagging these people if you can. There are all these great tools where you can tag people, see where people are clicking, see who's buying your stuff. Make sure you're tagging and bagging everyone who's doing anything in your world that's good, because then you can then stack them up to make a great lookalike audience. You might say, once you've got your little custom audiences all labeled up neatly, you can go into your ad account. They're all just sitting there. So you're like, right, I'll have those and I'll stack them up with some of these people and I'll stack them up with those. Right, that's about 3,000 people. Right, Facebook, build this little stack into a lookalike audience. So start getting your little kind of your best behaving people on your radar. And if you can't find them, then there's probably a tool that can help you find them and identify them. Personally, I find the deep data integration with ActiveCampaign and my website absolutely fascinating. Sometimes when people buy something, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, I'll just go and look at their profile, see where that individual has clicked, look for patterns, and you can see like how many times. Especially, I sometimes look back and I'll see, wow, they've been on my list for 3 years. They've only just bought something. It's interesting. Facebook funnel sounds very linear, but it's not linear at all. They mill around in your kind of little atmosphere and audience for a long time sometimes. So that's why it's worth having these little, eventually having these what we call train carriages of campaigns which you can stick together and they can trickle through. And you never know what's going to be the trigger where they say, after 3 years, today is the day
right.
that I'm going to buy from her. So, but you just never know. But you know, because we've tagged people consistently, we can actually know. We can go and make a little sandwich of all the nice people who do nice things, and feed it into the Facebook machine.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. That's great advice. This is kind of an interesting question that I've just thought of. And I'm wondering if you have if there are any like big mistakes that you have made, or lessons maybe that you've learned that you might be willing to share. And feel free, I mean, if not, that's fine. But anything that, you know, mistakes that you thought maybe this would work and it didn't end up working, that you could maybe help some potential people to avoid.
Oh yeah, I've got the mother of all lessons. It was last October, I decided to run a free challenge on Facebook about how to pivot your business into a new niche. A lot of people during the last 12 months, for obvious reasons, are wanting to pivot out of their now not very good prospects because it's all been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, you know, and I knew it was great content, but what I did do was schedule it to fall in the same 2 weeks as the US presidential election, Halloween, Black Friday. I think there was some other thing going on. There's a global pandemic, obviously. This was like the perfect storm of when to never be buying Facebook ads. It was super expensive because there's only so much ad space in Facebook world, right?
Right.
And there were all major giants of news corporations and political parties buying all the ad space. It was scarce. And I spent thousands. I think, you know, it covered itself, but I didn't kind of make any profit from that whole thing. So yeah, be really careful when you time things. Now we have like a sanity check just before we're about to do, when we've booked into a big promotion or an event. I'm like, people, shall we do it? Hang on, people on Scotland, they're on holiday. People here, I kind of do a little safety check to make sure I'm not walking some ridiculous, crazy ad buying storm.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a great point. And especially if your audience is international, right? There's different holidays that fall on different things. There's cultural stuff. There's just all kinds of different things. That's great. That's great advice.
Okay, similar sentiments. It's a period of iterations. Don't get discouraged in the early days. It's a period of listening, of finding out who your most engaged contacts are. You know, which attributes or characteristics do they share? And then look for more patterns and find more of those attributes and characteristics that they share. Remember, timing is everything. You could create a quality assurance checklist before you launch. Check for spelling, check for grammatical errors. Make sure that the links work and lead to the right pages. And think about the timing. Are there holidays coming up? Are there cultural phenomena going on that might impact your ad's performance? You know, all of these things are important to consider before you push that button and launch that ad campaign.
Hi, thank you for watching. If you are enjoying Growth Decoded, you can find a link in the description to sign up and join the Grow team. You'll get exclusive content and opportunities that have to do with the show. You can also hit the subscribe button for ActiveCampaign's YouTube channel somewhere down here, and you will never miss an update from us.